what Mangione did is it's able to put a finger in the eye of the establishment, right? To cause the establishment or people with economic or political power a degree of pain. And there's some level of like kind of fan service or cheering when that happens, right? And in response, traditional media has taken note and argued oftentimes that there's nihilism here or moral decay. Like, how else could people in Gen Z or anyone for that matter celebrate seemingly the death of a person? And I think what is going on with Gen Z is this kind of adds fuel to the fire where they increase and add more memes that are fundamentally not serious in a way to suspend the ability to have a serious conversation because they think the conversation is itself inauthentic.
In the United States, where there has been a twist in the legal battle faced by Luigi Mangione, who had been accused of shooting dead the chief executive of a US healthcare firm, Mangione has now admitted to killing Brian Thompson in December 2024 after long maintaining a not guilty stance. So let's discuss the case and the wider cultural implications, the fact that it's divided America, with Evan Clarkson, an assistant professor of experimental psychology at Utah Valley University. Evan, welcome to the program.
Hi, happy to be here. Thank you.
It's good to have you. Now, how significant is it that this man, who was turned into a folk hero by Gen Z and others, not all of Gen Z, but quite a significant proportion, was a symbol of rage against corporate America, particularly the healthcare insurance part of it, the fact that he has now said, yes, it was me, I killed Brian Thompson. How significant is that?
I think that definitely is going to be significant in a couple of ways. I mean, in one way, right, there's an admitting that this is something that he did. So it's going to be harder to deny that Luigi Mangione actually did it. I mean, people will still do that online because people are willing to do anything online, it should seem. But separate from that, I do expect this reaction that we've seen from Mangione to still continue. These kind of jokes that you see online very commonly on social media, I don't expect that to stop one bit.
And what is it about this particular case that enables some people to turn it into a joke? You've written a piece in The Conversation, and the headline is this: why Gen Z turns everything, even murder, into a joke. What do you think's happening?
So I think in this particular instance, what is going on is there's an idea. What Mangione did is it's able to put a finger in the eye of the establishment, right? To cause the establishment or people with economic or political power a degree of pain. And there's some level of like kind of fan service or cheering when that happens, right? And in response, traditional media has taken note and argued oftentimes that there's nihilism here or moral decay. Like, how else could people in Gen Z or anyone for that matter celebrate seemingly the death of a person? And I think what is going on with Gen Z is this kind of adds fuel to the fire where they increase and add more memes that are fundamentally not serious in a way to suspend the ability to have a serious conversation because they think the conversation is itself inauthentic. That is, it doesn't appreciate their gripes or misgivings or complaints about economic inequality or the problems with American healthcare.
And you've also linked the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which took place at Utah University, to something called Kirkification, a trend which I think requires some explanation. What do you mean?
Yeah, so this is another example of memes that are fundamentally not serious. So Kirkification is something that has been recognized by other people, but it is in the piece. So you're right to point that out. What is going on with Kirkification is you would see audio or images or icons of Charlie Kirk, but they would be blended in or overwritten by famous paintings like the Mona Lisa or something like that, right? Things that don't really make sense. Like, there's not a particular political point that is easy to spot. You know that there's something off with the meme. You know it's making light of a serious event, but it's not ironic and it's not normal political satire. It's again this type of online trend where there is a suspension or rejection of seriousness. And once more, I think it's because they, as Gen Z, don't feel like the conversations that are often had in traditional media appreciate their side of the issue.
One wonders where this is all heading, Evan, but well, let's wait and see. Thank you very much indeed for being with us on Times Radio. Evan Clarkson, Assistant Professor of Experimental Psychology at Utah Valley University. I know you may want to respond to that. So Luigi Mangione has admitted to killing the boss of a major healthcare company, UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. He has admitted it.
Okay, so Harry, could you just unpack for us the technicalities as to why it's unfolded exactly in this way?
Yeah, I mean, he said that it's the final chapter, but actually it's very far from being the final chapter. What has happened today, Jeff, is that in the federal case, Mangione changed his plea to say that he now pleaded guilty. He was asked by the judge what happened, and he said, I shot Mr. Thompson. And he said he knew that it was illegal and he knew that he would be killed, likely doing so. So the change in heart, the change in this plea deal is part of a tactical move, really, by his legal team, because there are two cases running essentially at the same time: the federal case that he pled guilty in today and the state case. So what he's trying to do is to plead guilty in the state case, in the federal case, in the hope that that will essentially knock the state case out of the way, in the sense that he will curry favor, basically, with the judge in the federal case, who will sentence him perhaps to something less than life in prison because of his plea. And that will avoid him spending the rest of his life behind bars.
I mean, it's been an astonishing case in many ways. I mean, let's be honest, his good looks are part of how this has become such a prominent story, the shocking nature of what seemed to be an execution based on ideology. But he has supporters. How much money has he had in donations? Why do people support him?
Yeah, he's had a huge amount of money in donations. And actually, Jeff, outside court today, really distressing for the Thompson family who were in court. As they were leaving, someone shouted out at them, "America loves Luigi," which is pretty awful for them to have to hear. There's a group of his supporters, they call themselves Mangionistas. A lot of them wear green because that's the colour of Luigi from Super Mario. And they see him really as a sort of folk hero. And actually, the commissioner of New York Police Department, she addressed this after the plea. She said that he is absolutely not a hero. This goes some way to getting justice for Brian Thompson. And this showed that violence never pays.